Okay.
He's on.
Bleed, what's going on, man?
I was good. What's up? What's happening with y'all, family? What it do?
We good.
Yo, Bleed.
I'm chilling, man. I can't complain. Beautiful weather. Live in Louisiana, man. You know, it don't get no better. Yeah.
Man, I feel you, brother.
Great to have you back with us, man. We were just listening to some of your music, man. Obviously, you still sharp with the bars as ever in terms of giving that stage wisdom.
Yes, sir.
I mean, Bleed, it's always great to have you with us. I guess we're going to jump right into it, because Pat set the tone perfectly in terms of the music, in terms of how songs catch on. Bleed, you're a veteran in this game. Like Pat said, it's very hard to make a song that people really, really, really gravitate to, and even if they don't know the artist, they know it. Obviously, your catalog is long, extensive, and distinguished. You as an artist, what do you think makes a great song in terms of creation and then how it reaches the people and how the people embrace it?
Message of privacy, God philosophy, man, God the man. So, evolution minus evolution, if I can put it like that. I hear what's in my spirit and my mind and my psyche over beats. And what y'all hear is a translation of that. You see what I'm saying? So overall, ultimately, God first, you know what I mean? I'm saying, and the rest is just creation. You know what I mean? And just, letting go and letting God. So in that sense, when we talking how you do that there, we damn near 30 years in the make. I couldn't have fathomed or imagined what it'll do in time. I knew how I felt at that time, and that's that many years ago with us for as industry and me for as creation and God before that. So, that part of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great. Like, I was actually talking about Archie Ever, so God rest his soul, and how he has a song that everybody knows. Even if they don't know it's his song, everybody knows that song. But it was such a recognizable song that he gained a fan base from that song, whether it's a million people or whatever. And I think you can relate to that because you have a classic album under your belt.
Yeah, man.
And that album is such a classic that you might have a percentage of people to think that that's your only album, but they still rock with that album. But it was so good that you built a fan base off of just that album, Like, people like me, we followed your career the whole time, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a Louisiana head. Like, you can ask these guys. I told them I was calling in today. I was like, yo, you got to give me a couple minutes with Bleed. Like, I won't hog the interview because usually when we have New Orleans people on or Louisiana people, I hog the whole interview. But so I'm just going to hit you with a couple questions real quick, and I'm going to pass the ball. But so I'm sure that you heard a few months back that Vlad TV put out that he feels that you have the best No Limit album.
Man,
I'm sure you saw that.
Something new. I don't know Fly, I appreciate, you know what I mean, peace to the God and much love and respect on that level. But yeah, y'all gotta send me the link to that. I just watched something that show like that.
Yeah, it was just a few months ago. He said that. And,
okay, DJ Vlad says it. I was watching something a few nights back, and I forget the guy's name. I was, scrolling through the YouTube, and out of 23, 24 plus records, No Limits, greatest releases in 1998, I charted number 6. You know what I mean? Out of the, the top 5, top 10, and I appreciate that. And I forget the homie name, in that sense. So what you telling me, man, that's a beautiful thing. I appreciate the love and respect. You hear me?
This is from Twitter. He tweeted this on July 2nd, 2021. DJ Vlad, Young Bleed had the best No Limit album of all time. Yeah, I said it.
Okay, I didn't hear you say Vlad. Vlad, my guy, man. I got I'm actually planning a trip to Atlanta in the near future to go do an interview with Vlad. But me and Vlad been guys on Twitter for about 5-7 years, somewhere in that range. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he definitely said that. He shared it to every single one of his social media thing. It's on Instagram. It's on everything. But the reason I brought that up is because most people do, if they don't put you number one. I personally I'm a Soulja Slim guy. I can't put anybody above Soulja Slim. But anybody anybody that I know that knows the No Limit catalog like I know it, definitely has your album in the top 5. So let me ask you, what are your top 3 No Limit albums of all time?
It's so many name-wise, but artists, it's hard to put it in a nutshell. Because, first, the fan favorite, just the family connection. So, Free C Murder, Off the Rip, and everything he ever done. When you know them rudiments, what I learned to do with hip-hop is not do the comparison. I put everybody in their own lane. You know what I mean? That part. So, Back is Home, you know what I mean? Slim, anybody you name, it's hard to put that there. We so
wasn't really that anybody weak. Yeah, you're right. Now is that your favorite album of yours? Is Balls of My Word your favorite album?
What I put it on blunt, it's one of them. You see what I'm saying? I do so much music and did a few albums that passed a decade twice now. To date, you know, between Balls of My Word, we can go on and on for days. But, I just released There Is a God album like Friday. Yeah. So that's one of my favorites in comparison. It depends on what fit the bill at the time. So Balls of My Word at the time, and really, behind the scenes, I was just like scratching off the, you know what I mean? When you scratch off a lottery ticket off you can go old school as me, and you remember the rev up cars and rev up motorcycles when we was kids. Balls of My Word was my start. I was just getting started. And when I realized the world took to that still to this day, I had to scratch the surface. I was really hovering in that sense. I got a song on a new record called Hovering, still above some people's heads and before my time. So, ultimately, I listen to everything in hip-hop that I can come across. You know what I mean? Not saying I know everything and everybody. But what I recognize is, on the evolution side of things, we constantly evolving. So I'm not in competition with nobody, minus the Plex. My competition is myself. So, like Michael Jackson with Thriller and Prince the Purple Rain, I'm always trying to do something better than what I did, word to Max Minetta the last time. You hear?
I feel you. I appreciate you're willing to work with others regardless of style. Like you're working with a friend of mine from Detroit, my man Poe Hussein. I know that you guys got some music together.
Yeah, Poe's my brother, my baby in Detroit, man. That's my true brother. We done lived together, recorded videos, and to this day, I call Poe right now. He gonna answer and vice versa. So that's real Stitch right now, all but blood Stitch right there. Yes, sir.
Yeah, he a good dude, man. He a real good dude, and I've talked to him about the stuff you guys got together, and he said it's great, So that's something I'm looking forward to. But look, man,
absolutely.
I'm gonna go ahead and pass the ball off to my co-host here, man. I just wanted you to know, man, like I'm a true fan of yours. You're a legend to me, man, and I appreciate your time, man. And I don't want to hog the interview, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass the ball off to my co-host. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Salute, and I'm gonna be supporting your music, man.
Respect, my brother. I appreciate that. Hold me down, and we gonna hold you down. You hear?
I heard you, man. Respect, soldier. Peace.
What's up?
Definitely. And I mean, Pittsburgh Pat always been down since day one, representing, man. Always great to have him with us. Bleed. I mean, we've seen, your distinguished history. You blessed us with so much wisdom. With some of the observations you've been made, that has happened in the game lately in terms of what's been happening. Social media, certain people on Clubhouse talking crazy, who shall remain nameless. what Jay Prince said about fuck the Grammys. We need to have our own.
Yo.
I mean,
The ground up.
please.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, please. The floor is yours. Go ahead. I mean, everything you observed as much as us. Please go.
Oh, man, I'm adding to the collection plate, man. Underground up, man. I remember a time in the South, in particular, when it was only, other than the subsidiary labels, all we had was Rap-A-Lot in Texas and Luke Skywalker Records in Miami, 2 Live Schools, you know what I mean, the birth of that. So it was a hope for a guy from Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, even Georgia to some degree, you know what I mean, for what it is now, for the South takeover, that part of it. So I remember that. Salute to the Prince, Jay Prince, and Uncle Luke, you know what I mean? That was our reach for us. Taking a chance of making a demo and sending Def Jam in New York and whatever was popping in California. But in the South, that's our whole rudiments and origin. So here again, respect to those guys, man. So, a long way from home, true dream come true, yeah.
Definitely. When you look at how hip-hop has grown over the years exponentially in so many levels, we look at the Grammys and the nominees, and we've seen how a lot of artists have come out and said that the Grammys are not a true validation for the culture of which we care so deeply for, and is not really going to be, it's never really going to recognize us the way we can recognize ourselves. You as an artist, what do you feel about ultimately that, people's, the industry heavyweight, a lot of these independent labels should come together and make, come up with their own awards?
Yeah, I feel like Ice Cube said a sample, from Farrakhan or something a long time ago, live and let live, man. You can't stop life from living, right? So it's vast as the space and time. You can't put that shit in a box. You can't put a seed in the dirt and put it in a box and expect it to grow. You see what I'm saying? So it's constant evolution in that sense of the word. So I'm open to everything new. We ain't supposed to duplicate. We used to call that shit biting back in the days. If you sound like the next man, you got to come up with your own thing. So in that sense of the word, I'm always looking for what's next. Take it from where the last kid left out. In that sense of the word. So it's supposed to be like that. Some shit is too much. I will say that. And for what our origin is, and coming from the underground, starting in Jamaica to the Bronx, to Brooklyn, and all the in between, and we caught a glimpse of what hip hop was. When we talking hip hop is one thing, and the New York boys will tell you rap cultures are different. There's no the commercial music. So you know what I mean? Some people keep it gully, some people sell out. Each his own at the end of the day. I ain't got nothing against nobody, I ain't got nothing against me. But just knowing the history. I'm a 70s baby, so I'm always hip-hop. I watch this shit, and that's something that I grabbed on. A God gave me as a blessing, a gift. You know what I mean? And like some people say, a gift and a curse. It comes with a person, it comes with its up and down. So at the end of the day, it's all about that, man. Be a constant evolution. And just, like I said, I'm old school, man. I remember American Bandstand and forget the guy that played the voice of Shaggy on Scooby-Doo. Rest in peace, Casey Kasem used to say, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So, it's infinite with me and all the in between, y'all like me.
Yeah.
So how's everything going with the podcast? You still doing that?
Yeah, I just got the ash there earlier tonight. Shout out to Bangin' 832 Radio and H-Town and Worldwide. So, yeah, podcast, broadcast, man. We do the audio and the video. So, twice a week. I'm on there 6 p.m. Central Time, Tuesday and Thursday nights, you know what I mean, and 4 p.m. Pacific, and 7 p.m. Atlantic, you know what I mean, East Coast. So that part of it, yeah, man, you want to keep, old school Marley Moore. I can come right out the studio, and my first radio home is Bangin' 832, so everything goes straight to that and then throughout the rest of the world, man. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man, because, we got to keep creating our platforms, man. It's like the more platforms we can create, it strengthens the culture, you know what I'm saying?
Man, I tell everybody, I don't make records for me, is what y'all say. If it ain't good enough, I got to go back to the lab like Rock and say without a mic to grab, man. So that part of it, each one teach one, two heads is better than one, you hear?
Definitely. And pretty much, and in terms of the inspiration, you know, obviously you've diversified, you know, in terms of doing radio, you know, your podcast, of course, still making music.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on the book. I mean,
the book?
Yeah.
Hey, look, I'm really part two with the books, man, brother. You know this or not, if you know, cool enough. But look, man, in 2011, you know, when I signed to Tech Nine, those guys at Strange Music, shouts out to the whole family. I did my first book I did an album with those guys called Preserve. But I also did a book, shouts out to Soren Baker on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, talking about music connoisseur, man. You know, the great Soren Baker hipped me to doing my first book that's called The Making of Preserve. So if everybody that, you know, hadn't heard of that, don't know about it, go to Amazon.com and as well as TrapDoENT.com. And it's available, man. So this, I'm working on a second book called Brotherhood 101. That'll be available soon. But that'll be the second book I did. And let alone, you know, like how you talking, I hear where you're coming from. I'm working on the autobiography and some documentaries as far as my life, my evolution from life to hip hop, man. So y'all stay tuned for that. But yeah, if you're not up on the Making of Preserve, yeah, I do have a book that's been out available since 2011. You hear?
Oh, word. Okay. And pretty much, what do you find in terms of the extension and in the literary aspect in terms of being an artist? Because obviously, you know, you're a published author in addition to being a podcaster and, you know, a legendary artist. What did you find in terms of making that transition and the continuation of those literary pursuits even to this day?
God first always and living life. You know what I mean? You can't stay in the back room forever. You got to go out and get air and water. You know what I mean? Feel free and fresh to breathe. So it's just searching the garden and just going out. If you know, if you look at it from a cook standpoint, you got to go get your seasoning from out the grass that's growing in the ground. So just living life every day. You know, Ice Cube, but somebody said a long time ago, when you hear a record from guys like us, it's a time capsule. So what happened, you know, I had a cousin in my first DJ AD, man, Adrian Cato, my big cousin, DJ since 11 years old. But every time he'd say, you know, he wouldn't say bye when he was leaving. He'd say, till next time. You see what I'm saying? I had to learn what that meant. You know what I mean? So in that sense, you know, pick up here again where the other kid left off. And then next time, you know, we pick up where we left off, I'm going to bridge that gap. You see what I'm saying? Hey, man, that's where I was. That's what I went through. So that's what I do as best as I can in the translation standpoint as far as albums and people that get to learn, you know, up close and personal. If you know me, you know what I'm talking about. But everybody else, fan base and otherwise, yeah, it's just like chapter 1, chapter 2. I continue to add on my life chapter and spitting real life. That's what it is. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you being an artist, especially with the history you've made, how important is you in terms of when the documentary starts being filmed, if not already in progress, that people are able to hear you tell your story your way with all authenticity and no artificial, you know, ingredients?
Oh, man, if everybody that's listening not hip to this, shouts out to my man, Matt from SCC, South Coast Coalition, and Brock as a whole, Joe Mexican, the film photographer, video shooter, the extraordinaire, and Max Manetta that just documented a documentary for us, Baton Rouge hip-hop history since like the 80s up until now. Guys before me, we own it somewhere in between, but go to Tubi, you know what I mean? If you hit the Netflix and so on and so forth, but pull up that Diamonds in Dirt. The Diamonds in the Dirt, and they're going to give you a mere glimpse of where we coming from and a whole lot of artists, and I'll let it speak for itself. But I'm working on a personal thing myself so you can get more up close and personal than me, but it'll give you a mere glimpse of where we come from and all of our evolution for us Baton Rouge hip-hop, man. So TUBI, that Tubi, you know what I mean? If you watch the movie and, like I say, Netflix and so on, tap into that and check out that Diamonds in the Dirt and let me know what you feel about it. You hear me?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I think that's always something that's important in the game because we always look at artists in terms of how the media depicts them. I think especially with a lot of the people that we have lost over the past year, you know, most notably a couple days ago, my good friend, shout out to the late, great, legendary Keith Grayson. Everybody in the hip-hop world knows him as DJ K-Slay.
Condolences. Yeah, absolutely, in K-Slay, man. Absolutely. Rest in peace, man. Rest in paradise.
Yes.
You know, God paradise. So, yeah, sorry to hear that. Condolences.
Yes, man. Harlem's very own heat holder of all things in the culture, you know, keeping it correct. You know, and as we see a lot of our legends that we've had come and go over the past couple of years, what can hip-hop do more across the board in terms of recognizing the legends while they're here and revering, respecting, and recognizing their contributions and, you know, just paying the proper dues of respect to them?
I mean, you know, homage, you know, strength and honor. I roll out the red carpet, man. You know, this not forever. I always tell people this about life. You know, mine is Miss Pac-Man. You know, when it's over, it's over. You don't get to put another quarter in the video game. So respect the respectable. You see what I'm saying? That part of it. And it's, you know, love and honor somewhere along the line. We all put on this planet to proceed a specific duty. And, you know, shouts out to one of the OG Panthers from New York, Ben Wahad. I remember one of his documentaries, and he was talking about how jail time he did, and the great Nelson Mandela did. And he was saying, whatever you born to do on this planet, you're going to do it before you leave here, man. It ain't our purpose. You know what I mean? Let go and let God. So in that sense, recognize and respect that, and we can make the world a better place. Anything going against the grain, don't be against the grain. You know what I mean? Anything outside of them golden gates, that's what it is. You know, it's a heaven, it's a hell, and it's a great in-between. I feel like this is school for it, in a sense like a purgatory. The earth, you know what I mean, is our turf. And it's a school. It's life school after college. If you graduate, get past college, you got to learn your purpose. You know what I mean? I studied this book called Purpose-Driven Life, and we all have a purpose-driven life. And I'm forgetting the author name as we speak, but you can Google it. It's an audio book and so on and so forth, and I recommend that to everybody. So different rudiments and things of that nature help you focus and learn why you're here. You know, I always say this: if you don't know where you come from, and really we don't, you know what I mean, alien origin, you know we on the planet, but far as we can get back to God, if you don't know where you come from, to know where you at, you don't know where you're going. We misguided misfits, man, and we die lack of knowledge. So educate yourself to what's happening and learn what your purpose is and go to work, man. And from that helped make the world a better place. I got a song on my new record called Crazy About the Righteous that features my first son, Taja Ramon, Son of the Don, you know what I mean? That part where the hook is like, the devils must be stupid living like this. The gods must be crazy about the righteous. You see what I'm saying? The song is called Crazy About the Righteous, so y'all get a chance. It's available on all social media platforms, so on and so forth. But check that out. My whole subject matter for us since the pandemic and all that, I did a prequel to that called Signs and Wonders. If y'all didn't pick up my first and only EP in 2020, right, when the epidemic, the pandemic and all that was jumping off, I felt like I watched all the rocket scientists, you know, bombs on the corner, everybody this, that, and the other, but the one thing we was missing is God. So as far as the cure and the answer to what's happening, it's starting to minimize. You know what I mean? I'm real deep in the spiritual connection of things. So with this being 2022, it kind of relates to Revelation 22, and that's the last page of the Bible. So in that sense, the one thing we missing in that element, the only thing to change what already been taking place is God. Go back to the arch. Don't forget that. So it inspired me to make this new record that's called There Is a God, D-I-G, an abbreviation, D, I give. You see what I'm saying? But just like the Giza pyramid in Egypt, take the G off, There, D-A-R-E, trying. And when he ain't going to never fail you, then, you know, we'll never talk about that. But I dare you to try God. There is a God. Don't forget that. You know what I mean? Rudiments, man. So in that sense of the word, I feel like that's the answer to all. And without that, we have nothing, and we are nothing. Don't forget that.
Especially when you got the way the game is balanced now, man, because it seems like the circus is getting more focused than the actual music. You know what I'm saying? So somebody has to break that balance, man.
I'm trying to push the button and reset hip-hop, man, even though I'm from the South. You know what I mean? I'm a turntable, out the crate kids, you know what I mean? Brooklyn, Bronx, but in the South, I had 2 turntables and all that type of shit. And I felt like that was the call. And that's the one thing that they can't break us in the freedom of speech and so on and so forth. So that's my whole method to the madness. You know, monetary gain, keep the business going. You know what I mean? Take money to live on the planet. But ultimately, spiritually connected in the Trinity. Mind, body, and soul, that's what it's about. And if you ain't doing it for that cause, then it falls short at nothing. A lot of these new rappers and all that kind of cat, and I don't care young or old. I said it a long time ago, down there 30 years ago. Young niggas still dying, man. When we correct that, then we can get it on. Until then, we got a problem within the community. So without the unity in the community, we have no, you know what I mean, take a village to raise a child. We have no foundation. So that's my whole thing. Let's get to that. Let's strive for righteousness, y'all, and keep the bullshit out the Golden Gate. Sure.
Definitely. And pretty much we feel the passion, we hear the conviction, we know the panache in terms of how you push culture forward in terms of resurrected. In terms of where you see, like we see the situation, and we got to go back to, we got to mention Tekashi because for some reason of shit that doesn't need to come back, he's decided that he wants to come out of hiding and get his name out there again. What do you feel about it with artists who kind of disgrace, if not outright just shame themselves into isolation, and they decide that they want to be relevant again, making a clownery, making a mockery of themselves rather than actually contributing and doing something meaningful for the game and for themselves?
Purify yourself in Lake Minnetonka, man. Rest in peace to Prince. Get right with God before you can come and pick up on that microphone. That's a church. That's from the church. Jesus wasn't in the church. He was in the street with gangsters, man, and drunk guys. So let's cut the yellow tape and the lily white shit. You see what I'm saying? When they say a wise man a chain, but a fool never will. If I could see you first, if I could recognize, if I could tell you something good, rest in peace to the pimp, MC, Chad Butler, my brother. You know what I mean? But if you ain't trying, if you think like, I remember that, and I watched that. I wasn't a Tekashi fan at first. Then I started seeing some of my OGs, from Kid Frost to whoever, that was trying to tell him, hey, bro, slow down. You fucking up. Test my gangster everywhere. You ain't the hard, ain't nothing harder than penitentiary steel, man. Wood in that graveyard, man. You see what I'm saying? Correct yourself. Watch what you speak into existence. I watched the priest and Charlemagne the God and them tell him in a year from now you'll be dead or whatever, and all that shit happened to him. I don't wish death on a dog. You hear what I'm saying? But don't be stupid, Mom. You say it's all right to be ignorant. That means you just don't know. You could educate yourself. But to be stupid, stupid is what stupid does. That part of it. You going hard-headed against the grain. No, bro, you ain't none of us just cut like that. That's the whole definition of God. Ain't none of us invincible. You got to follow the rules and get in a long line. So anybody that arguing, bro, it hurt my heart. Like I say, how you do that? My familiar verse, young niggas still dying. I don't get no brownie points from that. Ain't no bragging rights in heaven. I don't want shit for it. I don't know you. But from that to see that, and a bunch of misguided misfits that's losing their life before they could count their money, I come from Rock him and them and paid in full. But Rock say, I hear what you saying, nigga. Turn the music up and let's count our money. So without money, you don't have a foundation. You lose the house, you lose the girl. We're talking to Montana say, man, first you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the girl, man, because you got a foundation and somewhere to put a roof over her head. So if you're into stupidity and doing dumb shit and calling death on yourself, you're a stupid motherfucker. I don't care who it is that's listening. That's me. You know what I mean? That's Bleed all day, and I'm Archie. You can check my report. For that part, I hate to see that. You know what I mean? And I ain't racist by far. black, brown, red, yellow, white, the human rainbow. That's the love for humanity, man. If you don't catch that, you's an ignorant, stupid motherfucker. And you ain't trying to learn something. So I watched everybody go at a kid like that to try to tell him, slow down, bro. You can't rush nothing but death and the penitentiary, man. So, choose your wars. So at the end of the day, I stay out the way so I ain't got to get out the way. And if I could tell you something, I'll tell you something. I don't know it all, but some of our greatest rappers, I don't know what it feel like to be 30 years old. I'm on my way to 48 years old, y'all. I'm telling the baby, telling the folk, stay out here. Don't fuck yourself in the process. Learn God, keep your reverence for God, and educate yourself in this game, in business, and master your craft. Other than that, man, it's ABC 1, 2, 3. Ain't no other way around. So that's what I say to all, especially the young generation that's coming up that think life just started when they was born. Man, come on, man. It's long before us. Don't get it twisted. It's bigger than Nino Brown. Hold up.
Yeah. And that's real, right, man, because... Hey, can you go ahead?
Yeah, I was going to say that's the true game, but that's if they artists, and not just artists, content, period, because y'all focus on the glitz and glamour. We don't focus on the black lights, you know what I'm saying? What happens behind the scenes with all the glitters ain't gold. And that's what...
Before artists, you're a human being, man. You hear what I'm saying? Before artists, you're a human being. Life, man. It's 3 stages of life. Birth. Life is the bridge, and death is the end of it, man. Ain't no way around. I don't give a fuck how rich and what you think, how black, how white, and all the in between. That's the truth about this shit. The difference between right and wrong is the truth. You could lie to everybody. Listen, Bob Marley said this a long time ago. You can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time, man. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. I'm old law, man, so I put it out there. And if you're listening, it's a play the fool for you. But if you don't come to the table, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make the motherfucker drink nothing if he ain't want to drink. To each his own at the end of the day. I ain't going to force it. I'm not a Jehovah's Witness, and, and nothing against the Jehovah's Witnesses. But if you don't want it, I ain't going to make you take it, man. Gee, that's the whole origin to life. You're a human being first before you consider yourself an athlete, an entertainer, artist, or whatever the fuck you want to call yourself. Life, my nigga. And when it's over, it's over. So you could spend your time bullshitting. They say a man, woman, child going to do one, two things in life. You either going to help build or destroy this shit, man. So what side are you on, man? Rest in peace to Machiavelli, man. Hold up.
Yeah, the Resurrection joint that we played before we put you on the air, that was Pac influence, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. That's Pac Hook. I took it to bring it back to life and keep that on people's mind fresh. Yeah, Resurrected, man. True life. I was just with one of my brothers in the street, and I remember him having a bullet in his jaw. I got homeboys that live with bullets in their head out here. I'm from a town where I'm from in Baton Rouge right now. They just killed 2 babies out here in less than a 6-month span. One guy killed this old lady, took a baby, threw it off the bridge. The baby lived, but it was so cold out here, he died of hypothermia. Just a few days ago, and y'all might see this on the Instagram, Shaquille O'Neal went to LSU. You see what I'm saying? I'm from South Baton Rouge. My backyard is LSU. Shaquille O'Neal is paying for the funeral of this 3-year-old kid that whatever was taking place with guys in the street, random shooting, they made a mistake and killed this baby in his sleep. This my city. This Baton Rouge, man. You see what I'm saying? So that part, we going through this right now as a city, as a whole, as a nation. You see what I'm saying? As a country and you know what I mean? And a continent. So in that sense, I'm seeing this here. And some shit you can't change, and that let us all know we human. We ain't God. Only God could change and rearrange stuff. So that's why I stay there. You know, if I knew what I knew now, I'd have been a nerd in the classroom. Stay close to the teacher, man. And who else could tell you better? My pop raised me like this. You can't really hang with guys your age or younger than you because he don't know too much more than you. You got to run with the old-timers, man. Get back to the building blocks or the cornerstone like Bob Marley say. Don't forget that, man. A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Simple, supreme, mathematics. Any way you try to twist it and make it your own, it's not your shit. This God shit, man. Don't get it fucked up. Yeah, resurrected, man. Anything possible through God. So I appreciate that from y'all. I had no idea y'all played that joint. But I'll say this, I'm going to leave it alone. I've been trying to put this record out within the last year and a half. When it transpired, we was going through some difficulty with the distributor. Shouts out to Symphonic. As far as digital distribution, I go through Kunaki, a company called Kunaki for my physical distribution. But when it all was said and done, they released my record on Good Friday, which is the crucifixion day, right? And on Sunday, Christ was resurrected. So when y'all say that, that means the world, man. God bless America and the rest of the whole planet and the universe for that matter. So God bless everything, beautiful thing. You know what I mean?
Definitely. So, I mean, in terms of that, we keep going. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, there is God, man. Damn, try it, man. When you try it, man, come holler at me. If you ain't never tried it, you don't know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? But try God, man. When you don't try nothing else, and come holler at your dog. You know what I mean?
In terms of the inspiration, you know, you constantly are inspired to give. When you look at the culture, ultimately, what does the culture mean to you in terms of being able to represent it and to carry the spiritual smarts that you do, being able to impart that wisdom?
Oh, man, you know, I'm born that way, man. The day I was born, it was a chance that I lived or died. My mama lived or died. My mom was 17 years old. She's still here. I'm outside of her crib right now. My mom's and my pops. And they're in their 60s nowadays. So to still be here, it go back to that. My mama read me Dr. Seuss in the embryo. My uncle played drums on the outside. When I learned from guys like Rakim and all that, just listen to Ruckus, R.A.P., rap is rhythm and poetry. I'm born this way. So it go back to prophecy for me. If you're going to say something for real. Don't say nothing at all. So in the beginning, God said, let there be light. You see what I'm saying? He spoke life and light into existence. So from that, if you don't know you stitch from that cloth, and here again, you don't know where you come from. You don't know where you at. To know where you going. So how in the fuck you going to lead the people? How you going to say so? That's like Willie D and the Ghetto Boys say, that's the blind leading the blind. Man, if you don't know where the fuck you going, how the fuck you going to tell me where I'm going? So it's all about that. Even Jesus and Judas was the treasurer. You got to have money to live on this planet. And the heaven, when you're being gone, don't mean a motherfucking thing. Man, make the money. Money don't make the man. It's like we make loose leaf paper, we make paper. Money. So once you know that, you know, I come up from the era of G.I. Joe and He-Man, Scooby-Doo, Fat Albert, and Charlie Brown. And G.I. Joe just say, this knowing is half the battle.
Yes.
Hey, knowing is half the battle, man. That's half. If you know, I went from I never was a skeptic because of how I was born. Ghost house, and I could tell you a million stories. But I went from being a believer to a knower. Ask Noah. That part, man. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something in itself, man, because when I think about the culture, you know, of hip-hop, when I think about how, you know, the nostalgia of, like you mentioned, G.I. Joe, Transformers, all of those elements, it encompasses the, how can I word this? It was a reference point for what was laid down that was instrumental in our childhood that gave us lessons that we would take. It was empirical wisdom because from watching that, it's how we learned. It's like you said, we began to believe things, but then it was actually through experience we understood it. You know, it's one thing to believe, but then you know because you've been through it, which, you know, from what you've understood. And because you understand it, you have a full comprehension of what the message was. We understood the assignment from, you know, from those cartoons, from TV shows back in the day. It gave us, that was what we watched. It was a homework that helped us understand the assignment as we got older. And I think that's why this generation, you know, I think that's why we met, not saying that we're the greatest generation, because every generation has their own level of wisdom that they're going to take with them. But I think that's why for us, we understand things, or we just carry ourselves a different way from maybe how a lot of heads do. Back in the day, we didn't rely on social media because there wasn't social media. So if you had a reputation, good or bad, that was because you earned it and people saw what you did, you know.
Right. Yes, sir.
You know, it was about you actually putting in the work in terms of if you were an artist, that would be your proof of validation, you know, and it wasn't about doing a lot of clown shit. It was about you really took the time that you wanted people to accept you in a real way of you being a contributor and not a casualty.
Yeah.
You know, you were about furthering rather than flunking. You were about excelling rather than erasing. You know,
right?
And that's you know, Lee, when we hear, you know, yourself and people speak on, that's to me sometimes the underreported element of our era that made it so excellent. You know, those shows, those cartoons, there was just something about it that it had an energy and essence and expression back then that can never be duplicated, but it made us all together so blessed that we were there. Like Drake said, what a time to be alive. And I tell the youngest today, you had to be there to really understand what it meant.
Right. Build a YouTube right now, they can rewind the tape. We couldn't rewind the tape. We had to be there. You see what I'm saying? You had to be around. Shouts out to 187 from Above the Law. We just redid the Easy E, Still Talking Shit. And he in the hook with me, saying you had to be around when the shit go down. You see what I'm saying? So don't forget the block builders. You see what I'm saying? And where this shit come from. I was saying this, and shouts out to Lee Time from CeeLo Records, Concentration Camp, Corleone Family, Martin Day. But I shared something with my brother, and we real knowledgeable brothers on the spiritual level on down. But I said something to him that I thought naturally he knows, and he reflect this with me every time we meet. He said, man, I didn't know that. But what I said to him was, hey, man, you know, the devil was in control of the music. God gave him that control since the heavens. So we fighting that confrontation, so it's a thin line between love and hate. And the reason I say this, the reason the devil still is alive is he's a son of God too, and some people might take that across the chin. However, but if you really believe God is our ultimate father and we come from that, the reason he's alive, that's the son that went wrong. And he still got love, mercy, and compassion for him. But he abandoned him and banished him out of the heaven, just like Adam and Eve and anybody else that went against the ordinance of God. And that's our confrontation from being a human being, here being God/man, and demigod in that sense. If you don't know the God in yourself and the God is in you, you know, the first thing they do when you dead is tap your neck and tap your wrist, your left wrist, where your heart trickle to see if you're alive, to see if you're warm or cold. What's the fire that keep you warm on the inside? That's the spirit that's in you that comes from the Father. You see what I'm saying? So the lack of knowledge. Rakim said this long time ago in the song. I want to say maybe Move the Crowd or something, if I'm not mistaken. But KOS, well, knowledge itself is nothing I can't solve. It's 360 degrees I evolve. It's an actual fact. It's not an act. It's been proven indeed. I'll proceed to make the crowd keep moving. So spirit, Bruce Lee would say, be water, my friend. When water transform itself, it take the form of what embodies it. You see what I'm saying? So with that lack of knowledge, you don't even know what you're supposed to be doing. You're running at random and you're losing your motherfucking noodles and your marbles. So in that sense of the word, they go back to that origin of life expression. And if you got that interpretation, then you overstand and understand what's going down. And it has to be played out. Just like any stage play and so on and so forth. You know, Shakespeare, Macbeth, Scene 5, Act 5, you know what I'm saying? You know, the tomorrow. Life is you know what I mean, how you describe that life is just a tale told by an idiot, man. So, you know, if you ain't into that, Macbeth, you know, Act 5, Scene 5, man, you know, some Shakespeare. But when you understand that every man, every woman, every child interpret life how we get it, and in the era and the time that you get it. But what you have to do is look over your head, over your shoulder. There is a God. I didn't create myself. None of us on this phone. Anybody listen? You see what I'm saying? So I want to know. I want to go to the source. So I run away from the source. And once you get half of that, they say you could be so in agreement with God as well as Samson was to whip 1,000 people in one day. Who gave him the energy, the spirit, and all that? You could be so in agreement with God that he in agreement with you. And that's called unison. He become one with you. Clash of the Titans. David and Goliath. You see what I'm saying? So if you develop that spiritual essence within yourself and embody that into your physical form, then you'll start to understand your visions and your dreams, and more your visions than your dreaming, what's to be acted out and what your, here again, purpose in life is. So that's the whole thing. And when we get to that, we can get farther. Until then, it's merry-go-round, dog chasing his titty. You heard?
Definitely.
That biblical wisdom right there, man, and that's the beauty of.
Oh man, spiritual wisdom. You hear me? Spiritual wisdom from the inside. The kingdom of heaven. George Clinton, Funkadelic, and Parliament said a long time ago, the king, free your mind and your ass will follow. The kingdom of heaven is within, man. Tap inside yourself to see where you come from, and then you'll know where you come from, know where you at, why you here, and what to do while you here, man. That's what it's all about. Anything less than that, I can't talk about it. You heard?
Yeah, man. Everybody gets put on this planet for a divine mission, and
yes, sir, absolutely.
Some is music, some is poetry, some is starting something in your community, some is going into politics, some is using your words, using your gift of gab, or using what you know, your knowledge to uplift of a lot of people that need to be found in
a lot of people.
Everybody has a gift.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Everybody got something, but don't be lazy. Tap into yourself to figure out what it is, and don't be envious of the next person. Do what God gave you to do. You know what I mean? Black, white, fat, skinny, tall, short, all in between. Learn thyself and learn thy Father in that sense, and be comfortable, and you'll develop a peace and pray for it. In that sense, then you accept the skin. You hear me? That's what it's all about, man. Everybody got a thing. I got a song on my new album called That Water. It say everybody dip off in that water. We baptized, and some people say the funk, the water, however you was baptized. But when you born, we're in the same game, man. Whether you want to accept that or not, and not saying y'all, but speaking in general. That's what it's all about. Everybody dip off in that water, man. Yeah, before Hurricane Katrina and so on and so forth, man. What can you do about it? Here again, ask Noah, man, in the 7 seas, man. You gotta like me.
Definitely. I mean, but that's all about. That's what it is. That's what it's all about, man. And that's the water. That's the wise. That makes the genius rise. It's all about being. And the thing is, the wisdom, intellect, inspiration is not to be hoarded. It's to be shared. It's about being able to really, 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 fertilize the crops with that philosophy, that's going to get the mind to rise. And I don't think there's a better ambassador than that, of anyone than yourself, who really, really, really gets it. And
look, I say this here all the time.
Yeah, go ahead.
I appreciate that. Much love, my brother, not cutting you off. Hold that thought, but I want to add to this. I say this to everybody. I take no credit for myself, and I give all glory to God. It's just like a pyramid. The pivot of that pyramid is a sharp point, but it takes every brick that's under it to build it to that point. So I'm just another brick in the wall. Shouts out to Pink Floyd. In that sense, I'm a music connoisseur, so I'm going to dig, infinitely. That's the whole thing, man. I appreciate what you're saying to me, but the whole purpose of Christ, get you, they say, and I'm going to say it rough term, fuck the messenger, get the message. He ain't come down here to live and be all, forever how the biblical terms explain it to you, but he came to tell you something. Nobody's telling you about somebody. That's everybody, man. So in that sense of the word, that's the whole direction. Don't focus on me. Like Bobby Womack say, don't get hung up on me. It's a greater power. So if you hadn't learned that in school, in your family, in your community, then God's going to send something to you, especially if he love you and got a liking for you. He's going to send somebody to you. And at the end of the day, it's this story. I share this with all my brothers in the street and anybody that ain't counting in life when we get on this level. And maybe y'all heard this and maybe haven't heard it before. It's a story of a man that's stranded on the island. And he's an humble man. He's pure. He's righteous. And say, God, look, man, I'm starving. I can't do nothing. He ain't thinking good enough and mandatory enough to fish. So he said, okay, you know, two fishermen pull up in a rowboat. Say, hey, man, what's good with you? I see you stuck out here. You need a ride to, the nearest town. And he's like, nah, God got me. You see what I'm saying? Okay, they roll off. Another 5 guys roll up. Hey, man, what's happening? You need a ride? Nah, I'm good. I'm waiting for God. Third time, 2 more guys roll up. Say, hey, man, I'm waiting for God. Then he ended up dying of starvation. But he was such a pure and righteous man, he make it to the heavens. So his question to God was, say, man, I prayed to you, man. I did everything I was supposed to do. What happened? God said, man, I sent you 3 boats. You denied all of them. That part of it, you know what I mean? So, recognize what's real. Ice Cube got a song, one of my favorite songs on the Predator album called When I Get to Heaven. And he start off like that. He don't mention the boats, but he mentioned the homie standing in like in this driveway. And I got a Rolex on. I got the BM, they got the car in the driveway. He say, you don't mind me take this Rolex and all that? Nah, God, give me another. All right, cool. He didn't start the car off, then he explained to you, you know what I mean, the elements of God. If everybody hadn't heard that, it's a throwback series. Shouts out to my brother, Ice Cube, man. We shared priority records at one time, the homie NWA, and shouts out to Masterpiece, CeeLo Records that got me there coming from Baby Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But it's called When I Get to Heaven, but it give you that case scenario and style. And sometimes you'll miss your blessing, man. Sometimes it's right under your nose and you're looking too far. But if you got that commune and that spiritual sense, when my mama say the spirit of discernment, and you can separate the good from the evil, all your thoughts in your head. God ain't going to tell you to kill yourself and do all that demonic shit. That ain't the papa, man. Anything less than that, X that shit, omit that shit out your membrane, and let's move farther. So it's all about that pivot is the whole point I'm stressing here. And when you got that, you know what I mean, you can't lose. No weapon drawn shall prosper, man. I can tell you a million stories. So, I'm giving my live testimony for everybody listening up until my current day, man. So stay tuned, stay focused on God, stay prayed up, you hear me?
Definitely, man. We definitely always enjoyed the build, man. I mean, you definitely welcome to come back on always, man. You like family to us. And
yes,
you know what?
Absolutely.
I was also going to say this, too, man. If you ever get on Vlad, man, you got to bring me along. T-Mass know I'm going with it.
Okay, D. I'm trying to get out there, man. I'm about 6 hours from. See, I always thought I had to go to L.A. or New York to fuck with Vlad. But shouts out to him and his homie Ken K. So it's just a matter of me getting from here to Atlanta. I've been to Atlanta. Shouts out to my Uncle Pimpin' Ken and the whole HHF hip-hop fraternity that's out that way and spread across the country. But as long as I've been going to Atlanta for years, I had no idea that he had a stationery there. So now that I know that, before the year out, y'all, I'm on my way to Vlad, man. Shout out Vlad. I appreciate you, bro. Much love and respect.
Definitely, man. Definitely. But you gotta and tell people where they can find you with your social media handles and where they can find your project.
Absolutely, man. Starting at Facebook, man. Y'all can go to Young Bleed fan page on Facebook, on Twitter at Real Young Bleed, and on Twitter it's at the Real Young Bleed. And everything else, personal label, you know what I mean? My La Familia Trapdoor Entertainment. Go to trapdoorent.com. That's the website and the label and everything else as far as the current. And anything less than that, man, Google me other than Banging 832 Radio, like I say, on Tuesday nights and Thursday nights. And, we run 7 days a week. So you can't miss me, man, unless you ain't looking, you heard?
Always, man. Mm-hmm. Always, man. We definitely appreciate you joining us. The build is always lovely, man. You always bring a different form of incitement at Off the Cuff Radio, and a lot of insightful game that people that catch it on can definitely learn from.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I appreciate that. Yeah, stay prayed up and stay up. You heard?
Always,
absolutely,
brother.
Bleed. God bless. Thank you again, man. And we'll see you next time.
Same to y'all, my brothers and my family, man. Look, I'm going to tell you like my brothers in Chicago and their mamas tell me, you fuck with me, you stuck with me, man. So La Familia, man. Hold it down, man. Anytime, any place. I appreciate y'all.
I like that.
Always,
I like
brother.
that.